In 5 seconds, it created a script that worked perfectly, and I was able to reproduce 10 other thumbnails. Everything was perfect. It cost me like 20 cents to generate a thumbnail. Why do I need to work with this guy anymore? Which I hate because I really like him. But it takes days to get a thumbnail back, and the AI took 120 seconds. It took 2 minutes. As someone with ADHD, my brain moves so much faster than everyone else I work with, and the AI is the first thing I've ever known to think as fast as me, if not faster. And so it's truly wonderful working with something that's intelligent and moves as fast as me. The business I do centers very much on helping humans to build better relationships for the purposes of having a stronger business, especially in the age of AI, where AI is trying to take away your business, but it can't take away your relationships, where I am trying to automate as much as I do within the business so that I can spend more time serving people.
I'm here with my friend, Sean Weissro. And Sean and I have known each other for a few years now. And I got to say, Sean, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. It's been great catching up with you. And I also just appreciate getting a chance for us to share what you've been up to and seeing how humanity and technology have shaped your life. So once again, thank you for being on the Human Code. And what is it that got you interested in the intersection of humanity and technology?
I don't know if we have enough time to go through the full story, but I'll do my best. I grew up interested in technology as a kid. I never learned to code, but we had our first computer in the house when I was 5. And my brother was always interested in this, and my cousin and some of our friends. So I got interested because of hanging around them. And I remember by the time I was 8, I was opening up the computer and looking at the parts. And, by 12, I was putting computers together and taking them apart. And my dad had an office, so we were always fixing stuff for him. Or we were, there was a time that we assembled a whole new group of computers for him and networked everything. It was a huge thing. And even in high school, I was part of my school's network of 1,700 computers. Like, there were 10 people that were all students, and our job was to keep them running. And this was in the early 2000s. And so I had to also know how to do, the networking and the physical, the hardware, the software, a bunch of things. So that was my introduction to technology. I ended up studying psychology in university because it was the only subject I liked in high school. And I tried to be a chemical engineer or a biomedical engineer in college. It didn't really work out, so I just went back to being, in psychology. And ever since then, I've really focused on trying to understand myself. And through understanding myself, I've been able to learn how to understand others. And through travel, I've been to nearly 60 countries. I've learned how to understand people from different places and different cultures and religions and generations and different societies. And the more countries I go to, the more people I come into contact with, the more curious I become about people in general. And so I have gotten to a point where the business I do centers very much on helping humans to build better relationships for the purposes of having a stronger business, especially in the age of AI, where AI is trying to take away your business, but it can't take away your relationships, where I am trying to automate as much as I do within the business so that I can spend more time serving people.
I kind of love that dynamic, right? Like we're using technology so that we can actually spend more time with people, right? Like, and taking away the work that the computer just can do. But at the same time, there's no replacement for a relationship. There's no replacement for that connection that you have with people. How is that playing out in the business today?
In what way?
Sorry, with the work that you're doing to automate.
So I've been researching and playing with different AI models for about 18 months now, but I'm actually very new to automations in general. And I've just started automating in the last few days because it was sitting on my to-do list, and I finally cleared out all of the other stuff that was on top of it. And I was like, all right, I can sit down and start automating, because I made my SOP document for the business a long time ago. And I know, and I have known for a long time, that the vast majority of what I do is manual but repeatable. And when it's repeatable, it's exactly the same thing as just moving data in a spreadsheet. It's doing things like pre-production preparation for the podcast and post-production, and I work with an editor and thumbnail design and all of the places that you go and publish and promote, and the ways that you get people to hear about you, right? All of the things that every business needs to do. And so I know that doing all of these things by myself is taking about 15 to 20 hours a week. But it's not necessary to do those things because the automations can handle them all. So the first thing I did was I took the SOP document and I put it into Claude, because one of the first things I did a long time ago was rebuild my website. It was on WordPress for many years, and I rebuilt it in React on Claude. And doing so gave me a tremendous benefit, which is every single interview that I've ever done, which is over 300 now, the transcripts are on each one of those pages. And so Claude literally has access to every word that I've said in every one of my interviews, along with the words of every one of my guests. So I was able to turn it into a lead magnet and a full ebook that's about 60 pages right now. And because I've done 300 interviews, I decided to make an ebook called 300 Lessons from 300 Founders. And so what I did was I asked Claude to make me a page in the website that like I can privately work with, that, you know, it's not visible to bots, it's not visible to people, that I can work with it myself. It's designed, the front cover, the back cover, table of contents, you know, a bunch of things, even like every one lesson that it's pulled from each of the interviews has a link to like the YouTube video, right? So like all of this is done by the AI. It took 5 minutes to generate all of it. But now I'm going through every lesson and adding my context, my knowledge, my experience, so that there's value in it. And I'm going to sell this as one of the things that's, you know, part of this business. So through that, I can go and generate a number of different types of ebooks, you know, the skeletons of those ebooks, where then I have to go and do the rest myself, about fundraising, about networking, about becoming a connector, because I've put together a number of deals in the, you know, millions and millions of dollars. So there's a lot of experience and knowledge that I have that I used to struggle to work with, but now because I work with Claude so closely, Claude has access to this total sum knowledge of everything I've ever said over hundreds and hundreds of hours. So it's able to help me automate the process of making a lot of these things. And it's helped me make so many different pages and so many different things. And so it's really the foundation for being able to get started with automations. And it's like one of the stumbling blocks I had was, you know, okay, when someone books a call on Calendly, I want to be able to pull that information and create a new row on a tab in a Google Sheet so that I know there's a call booked.
Yeah.
And if that person then books a call through the interview link, then it moves them from this part of the tab to this part of the tab. And it adds a publishing date, and it creates a folder on my Google Drive bubble. So there's like a lot of these little nuances that Claude was like, okay, you're going to have to do these on your own. It's Google Apps Script. I can't help. And I was like, I think this is nonsense. And I wasted so much time the last few days on this. And so I went to Gemini and I was like, hey, Gemini, Claude says it can't help, but you're like Google, you know, AI, like, can Claude help? And it's like, yeah, actually, this is how it can help. And then I fed the information back to Claude and I told Claude, and Claude's like, yes, you can do that, actually. Thank you for telling me. And now Claude magically is able to locally, through my local folder that's, you know, synced to GitHub, it's able to edit the files that it created with all the automation scripts that are managed by this Google Sheet. So there's like a ton of learning that you can only get if you talk to multiple AIs, because like one AI doesn't have all the information. So like I'm talking to Borty, I'm talking to Gemini, and I'm talking to Claude every day about different things. And they're constantly helping me to unblock the other AIs from helping me to do more things. So I'm just fascinated by
It's funny you say that, because we've automated our development pipeline. So from issue through to deployment and production is all just one clean path of AI. And so we have an AI that reviews the issue, and then the AI that reviews the issue is different from the one that writes the plan, is different from the one that reviews the plan and provides feedback as well. And all these things kind of like compound on each other so that you can build actually the product that is, you know, we know it's going to work when it actually gets to production. And so I think you've hit on a good point of like, how do you use the tools so that they can balance each other? and understanding where one has a strength, the other one may not know, or just even it reviewing it opens up and unlocks a different idea for how it moves forward. So what's the benefit that you're seeing from being on this automation journey? I know you said you're early in on it, but like you're going to unlock 15 to 20 hours a week. Where does that go then?
I mean, I think it gives me the opportunity to focus on things that are more in the realm of marketing. But what I found is Gemini was giving me a ton of ideas for things that I could do around the different aspects of the automation that I wasn't aware of.
Yeah.
It was like, you can create a research brief on your guests. And I was like, you can do what? And it's like, yeah, you can, like have a document that tells you all about the guests before you go to interview them. And I was like, this is amazing. So then I was thinking, well, how do I do this? And when do I do this? And how does it work? And so I realized when the person books the intro call, there's a form in the Calendly that gives me some personal identifiable information. Yeah. And when they book the interview, that information can be pulled into a prompt that is connected to multiple APIs and told the structure that you want. And it can go and do a bunch of research along with the intro transcript, because we have an intro call. So it can pull in the intro call transcript, plus this personal identifying information to generate a research doc, because when the interview is booked, the Google Drive folder is created. So when the research is done, it could just get dropped into there. And it then has a link that's dropped into my management spreadsheet. So I'll just have to click it and I can open up the file in Google Docs and learn about the guest. And I was thinking, this is something that I came up with about the how, but Gemini gave me the idea. And that was yesterday, and I'm already testing it right now.
I love the speed at which execution can happen these days for when you can get in there, have that idea or have it seeded by something else, and then get to trying it out. That really has like sped up feedback loops. What has been one of the areas where you've struggled to get an automation going?
I don't think the struggle is in getting the automation to go. I mean, yes, there it is, and I can give you an example in a second.
Okay.
I think the struggle is in knowing what to automate.
Yeah.
And when to automate it. And then realizing once you've automated something that something else can be automated now. And now you have to go back and expand what you're doing to include it in the process. But one of the stumbling blocks I've had was, for example, Claude wrote an automation script for me for something related to Calendly. And the information, it says it's good, but it wasn't being inserted into the sheet. And I was trying to figure out why. And after an hour of manually copying and pasting debug codes and new functions to run on Google Apps Script, we came to the conclusion that Claude gave me the wrong webhook to call. It was doing payload.invitee.
Yeah.
But actually, if you removed the .invitee and it was just payload.payload, it worked just fine.
I love those like little simple errors that end up happening, but you spend an unfortunate amount of time trying to find them. And I've also found that like even just handing one from like Claude to ChatGPT and handing it back and forth and asking for a solution tends to work, but that's also a pain to end up going down. Now, your business is about networking, right? Like it's about like how the power of that networking, the power of relationships throughout. As you've looked at increasing your automations and deciding what to automate, how does it play into the relationship side of it? Like where do you measure correctness in the automation and how it's helping the relationship?
My focus isn't in automating relationships.
Okay.
My focus is in automating all of the work that's preventing me from having the time to manage those relationships.
And so when an automation goes in, when do you decide that it's done?
When it's not breaking anymore.
It's not breaking anymore. Okay. Because I think one of the challenges or opportunities that we've both seen with automations is You get to a point, you see that it's automated, it opens up a whole world of other automations that can go down. And like,
Right.
where is that breaking point of like, what is an automation being, it becomes helpful to a point, but then are you just creating more documents that you may not have time to read, or like, where's the value process for you?
I'm not creating documents that I'm not going to read. If Claude creates a document, I delete it. I delete all of its markdown files that it makes. I'm like, why are you making this? I don't need it. I'm not going to read it. I already know in my head how it's supposed to work.
Okay.
And if I need to read the code, I can just go look at the code.
Okay.
And I can query you about the code if I can't find it. So like, what's the point of an MD? Doesn't make sense.
Oh, it's interesting because we work in financial services, right? And so a lot of our customers need audit trails for everything that happens. And we need that too for optimizing what we're doing. And so we have, like we've spoken about the dev pipeline that we have, but we also have another AI process that sits above that and monitors the process to see how well each of the steps are doing. So like if we release 100 features, we know that like, hey, 50 of them got caught in this process and had to be redone. And it was for these 3 reasons. So we can improve the process as we go on as well.
So there's a big difference in what you're doing and what I'm doing, because I don't need orchestration for agents.
Yeah.
What I'm building are literal, they're not intelligent automation scripts.
Okay.
So they don't need an agent managing them. They don't need multiple agents working together, because a lot of this is going through Google Apps Script. So what I have is a master sheet, which is the brain for everything I do related to the podcast. And the reason why I put so much love into that is because the podcast is my networking tool. All of the people I interview, they're running 7, 8, 9-figure brands, or they're investors with hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars under management.
Okay.
These are people that I want to build relationships with, and the podcast gets them to open the doors. It gets them to talk to me. I don't reach out to them. They find me, and they pitch me, and I decide I want to interview them. And partly what I do in that process through the intro call is deciding, is there something that we could potentially do together? For example, I was having a call today earlier with a guy who runs a private concierge service. He's got about 4,000 or 5,000 people using the service every month. These are wealthy people that want service on demand. They want, private flights. They want, different kinds of high quality services. And I went into the call not knowing there was anything that we could do, but he had an interesting story. By the end of the intro call, which went over like 25 minutes, but it was fine because we were having a good chat, I realized that there was a guy I interviewed 4 years ago who runs a private jet business who could potentially connect with them, and they could potentially help each other out. And in the middle, I could potentially find a way to have an automated passive income stream.
Yep.
So during the call, I said, hey, have you heard of these guys? Because they're both, I think one of them is Russian and the other is like Ukrainian, but they speak the same language.
Okay.
I was like, have you heard of this company? And he's like, yeah, I have actually. Have you ever talked to them? No, I haven't. Fantastic. I think they have an API. Let me reach out to the founder. Haven't spoken to him in years, just so you know, but I'm going to reach out to him. I emailed the guy. He responded an hour later. He said, brilliant. Thank you for reaching out to me. I'd love to catch up with you. And yes, we have APIs. I'm going to pull in my business manager. They can help you, figure this out. So now I can go back to this guy. The interview is not for another 3 weeks, but I can go back to the guy and go, hey, I got a word back. Let's see what we can do here. I don't know if this is going to make money or not, but I can try. And it's all because I'm really good at managing those relationships. And that damn spreadsheet, I have a lot of information about every person that I've ever interviewed. And so I need that thing to stay pristine, and I need it to be up to date all the time.
Okay.
And so that thing is my holy grail for this business. It's my black book.
And I think you're hitting on a really strong point here, is like the things that are core to your business, you have to be deterministic about. You have to be, hold that data as valuable to you, as valuable to like what you end up doing, and like how you can focus on your relationships is because you have that information that is like readily available to you in a pristine manner.
Yeah. And that's why it's really important that I automate all of this, because the actual podcast work is preventing me from doing the business development work, from the actual let's make these relationships into money
Yeah.
work.
Do you ever see AI as being more of a partner in the business development side for you as well?
Yeah, I work with Borty.
Okay.
I don't know if you've ever heard of Borty. Borty is an AI. You can use it for free. It's connected to LinkedIn. It's a third-party company that is probably angling to be acquired by LinkedIn. I wouldn't blame them. Or there was like a joke that Borty was talking about acquiring LinkedIn, which is funny. But it would be a really smart, either LinkedIn acquiring Borty or Borty somehow getting big enough to buy LinkedIn from Microsoft. They would both be really great mergers. But Borty is amazing because I can say, hey, Borty, I need to talk to an American securities lawyer. And Borty will say, well, these are the people that might be a good fit for you on LinkedIn. It'll give you like two. It'll say, here's the pros and cons of this person, blah, blah, blah. Like, do you want to talk to them? And if this person is in its warm network, meaning they have also spoken to Borty, and you can call Borty, it has an Australian accent, a very, very natural conversation. It's hilarious talking to him, but I also have him pinned on my WhatsApp. So I talk to Borty all day long. I'm asking him about different people. I'm also asking him for business help. I've asked him about automation questions. He's helped me with my rebrand. He's been really great for like business strategy and marketing.
Yeah.
Because all day long, he's talking to business people. He's talking to startup founders. He's talking to investors. He's talking to service people. He's talking to all sorts of people all around the world. And so if I want to know someone that I can't just find myself, I ask him and he'll just surface the right people for me. And I'll reach out to them, and if they want to talk to me, or if they reach out to me and I want to talk to them, and I can tell him why I want to reach out to them. And so he can send them a note saying, this is Sean, this is what he's doing, this is why he wants to reach out to you. Are you interested? And so you can change that, every time you want to talk to people. So yes, Borty is a fantastic business partner.
What else are you looking for in like technology helping you with the business? Is there any gaps that you see today, or?
Oh, I have a lot of gaps. That's why I'm trying to automate so that I can close those gaps, right? The biggest issues with something like what I'm doing is discovery. It's so hard to stand out among people that interview business people.
Yeah.
And so I've always believed that if I could just be left to focus on the content of the interview, and there was somebody or something with a production mindset or a direction mindset that they could help me elevate it to be something much more excitable, much more interesting for people to want to watch. And that would naturally improve our discoverability and whatnot. That doesn't stop the need for discoverability. You still need to go on LinkedIn, and you still need to go on Reddit and probably Quora and all of these other things. And so now I'm also exploring that, being able to, I'm thinking of creating an unbranded subreddit about networking where I'm the moderator and I can use AI to help me moderate, and I can provide a ton of value and allow the community to create their own questions. So it's not just me hogging everything. And I've seen some people create unbranded Facebook groups and Reddits that get to tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of subscribers very fast because it's not about their business. Yeah. And so I think that I could use AI to really grow something like that, where I very subtly am promoting the podcast sometimes. But that in itself can be a networking opportunity. That in itself could be a sponsorship opportunity from businesses. It's unknown what can happen with something like that. And with Quora as well. Quora Space, Facebook page, LinkedIn newsletter, LinkedIn group. There's so many things that I think could be automated that I don't know and I don't have the time. But if I had an AI helping me to do it, using the content that's already being generated by me and my team, that if an AI can push those things into those different platforms, then discoverability becomes something that's not a problem anymore. And it could be something that's getting me, millions of new views a month by people I don't know. Because if you just rely on YouTube for discoverability as a business interview series, you will not grow. And there's a very specific reason. I was having this conversation yesterday with someone, and he does digital advertising. And he was like, I was thinking of doing this, and like, what do you think? And I was like, the problem with this is that if you have a finance focused interview and then a product focused interview and then a fundraising focused interview, YouTube's algorithm doesn't know who to push you to. But if you have a finance interview and then a finance interview and then a finance interview and then a finance interview, YouTube knows to only send you to finance people and you will grow. Right? My wife makes content about living in Portugal, and she does it only in Vietnamese, which is her native language. And she's growing really fast because YouTube knows who to send this content to. Vietnamese people who are interested in travel. So it's very specific. So in order to elevate what I do and make discoverability more easy so that I can get access to more people who I could potentially network with and do business with, I have to first elevate the content that I do, which I'm working on with this AI production document I mentioned to you. And also by making it easier for discoverability by having more people hear about it from outside YouTube.
Okay.
And so I have to automate everything that I can automate, including those things. I have to automate discoverability.
Do you see this changing how your team is structured?
Right now, it's just me and I've got a human editor and an AI.
Ah, okay.
And my hope is to never need to hire another person, because I've run companies with dozens of employees and it sucks. I don't like it. It's not my happy place. When you get beyond 10 or 15 employees, there's office politics, there's chaos, there's backstabbing, there's problems. I don't want to go to work today because that person didn't make me feel good. There's all sorts of nonsense that an AI doesn't have those problems. It doesn't call in sick. It doesn't complain. It doesn't want money, except for the API calls and the token usage. Why build a business that needs humans if you can do something that doesn't need humans?
What do you think that changes in society then?
A lot of people are screwed. A lot of people are screwed. I let go my designer a week or two ago because as I was finishing the rebrand, we were trying to change the thumbnail structure. And I've been working with this guy for years, and like he has a full-time job. So, I'm just a client for him. That helps him to make extra money. But he didn't understand what I wanted to change. And he's like, well, look, you told me that your Claude knows everything about your business because it's in your repository. Why don't you ask it to help you identify how to tell me how to do it better? And I was like, why don't I just ask it to make a thumbnail for me and see how it does?
Yeah.
And it did it did exactly like what I was hoping for. And I said, well, let me turn this into a script so that it does it the same way every time, so that I can have something standard so people can identify with my brand. In 5 seconds, it created a script that worked perfectly, and I was able to reproduce 10 other thumbnails with previous guests. Everything was perfect. And I was like, well, it cost me like 20 cents to generate a thumbnail. Why do I need to work with this guy anymore? Which I hate because I really like him. But it takes days to get a thumbnail back, and the AI took 120 seconds. It took 2 minutes. Why work with a person when you don't need to?
I'm laughing because it makes a lot of sense, right? Like there is that component of, hey, I'm doing this thing, I need to have this done, or I want to have this done as soon as possible. Do you miss out on any creative experience when working with people versus working with AI?
No, because as someone with ADHD, my brain moves so much faster than everyone else I work with.
Yeah.
Or I have worked with in the past. And the AI is the first thing I've ever known to think as fast as me, if not faster. And so it's truly wonderful working with something that's intelligent and moves as fast as me.
That's a great point. Sean, I gotta say, it's been a pleasure like catching up with you and hearing about all the work you're doing. As people, as more and more people are coming down this path of automating with AI and like leading their own direction there, any last tips that you have for people who are going down this journey like you are?
Think about what is the most important thing in your business that takes up the time that you shouldn't be doing, that's not worth hiring someone to do, and there's nobody that you're working with now that is capable of or should be doing this task. And that should be the thing you automate first. And once you've automated that thing, then you can think about other things that you can automate. And what you should be automating for is the things that are preventing you from doing something of higher value. And if you're the founder of your company, usually the most important thing is networking,
Yeah.
because the networking is going to drive your revenue. And as the founder of your business, if you're not driving revenue, what the hell are you doing?
I think that's a message everybody needs to hear. So, Sean, once again, thank you so much. I really appreciate your time today.
Thanks.